Mm. Ah. Yo. Yo. Are we good? Are we live? We are live. Sweet. Okay. Sup, Shredders. My name is Logan, aka Spiderhands. Welcome to an SP live streams $5 song request live stream where today I'm going to be reviewing your music. So that should be cool. If we switch over to here, we have ourselves Spotify, and then we have Fishies, where, as per the description up there, let's review your music, info, rules, and requests link in video description below. You go to Ko-fi, pay $5 for a commission, and I review your song. It should be all there. Nice and easy. Nice and simple. It's been a while since I've done one of these. To be fair, I did it on the weekend. Nothing major to report. Quite a lot of positive stuff in my personal life, but not really stuff I can talk about here. Yeah, just rolling with the punches, right? Hopefully if you're watching this, you're having a good week. Hopefully you're taking care of yourself. I should actually, hang on, no. In regards to the video, and the videos themselves, if I just get rid of that for a sec. Just want to get that down to the bottom. There we go. No, it's kind of touching the bottom. I don't really want it to... There we go. That's what we want. I realized that in my live streams, I had, or just my videos in general, I had one specific plugin called Invisible Limiter. And the thing with Invisible Limiter is that it's a great plugin if you want to be able to get mastering done for like a song that you're working on. But with OBS, what occurs is that it you see with that is that it lags. So you've got your audio that you've got through OBS, you've got your signal chain, and then what you've got is a problem where your audio gets processed just after you sort of say something. So video and audio desync is there, and it wasn't a massive amount, but I was getting the hang of these guys. I don't know if you can see that. That is a Rode wireless mic, because I want to do like some music courses, and I've gotten wireless microphones to be able to do that. And what I noticed when I was testing the Rode wireless microphones is that these guys had way less latency than my wired microphone with a plug-in set. And so that's what basically has fixed it. So if it looks like the audio is more in sync today than it actually honestly has been for a very long time, that is why. It's because I have been able to fix it. I replaced it. Can I show on the screen what I replaced it with? I'll see if I can open up my signal chain on my mic without causing problems. It seems like I'm still, like, the audio is still there, which is good. If I open the plugin interface, that's not what I want. The loudness. Oh, right, that's the plugin. So I've got this guy, and he's basically measuring the loudness of what I'm doing or what I'm saying right now, and it has like a max thing there. It can peak a little bit occasionally, but it also has an auto release, which allows me to sort of be a bit more, I suppose, natural with how the limiter functions. And it's just so that, like I have like a hard ceiling with my audio so that it doesn't distort and stuff like that, because you really don't want that if you can avoid it. You want to avoid it distorting. It's not a good time. But yeah, so the audio is now not distorting, which is great. So that's a fix. That's a plus. What else? I don't really know if there's much else to talk about. I suppose I'll just do some music news. I haven't scheduled this live stream today. I have been doing stuff with like the accountant. So I recently got a new accountant who's been incredibly helpful. Incredibly helpful. Very, very happy with the way things have gone there. Really positive. And that's taken a load off my shoulders. We've had some issues with the neighbors, but we're trying to sort of fix them and solve them, and that's going okay-ish, Some stuff happened this week, which is kind of wild, but I won't go into that. My cat, I took her into the vet because she managed to scratch here, but there was nothing serious, which is fantastic. Touch wood. It's just great when you go to the vet and you actually find out that your animal's okay and that you don't have to sort of like freak out or worry about it. And just honestly, man, like, aside from that, with the cat being okay, just sorting out potentially having to move in like a few months, depending on how things go. I might stay, see how things go. Life's reasonably chill. Um, yeah, I like being able to talk. We are having some audio sync issues, apparently. Occasionally there are frame drops. I'm not quite sure what that issue is, but it's a thing that's occurring. So apologies if that is the case, if there's some issues with the internet. We do have gigabit, but sometimes this decides to drop out for reasons. You know what we haven't done in a while is music news. There we go. Music news. So I haven't checked out any news recently. I don't know about you. I've been staying off of Reddit. I feel like Reddit was something where I just get locked in and I just spend half an hour looking at shit that I didn't even really care about. And it's tricky because, like, I don't like the spin that a lot of news channels around the board put on stuff. I use ground news because they're more neutral with the way that they phrase stuff, and I think they're pretty good. But yeah, Reddit, of course, is biased. Depending on the subreddit you enter on, that's by virtue or by proxy of there being groups, is that you're going to have internal bias and, you know, echo chambers. But yeah, I haven't really checked out the news too much, and it's nice to kind of check out what's going on in the music world. And things have actually been so busy in previous live streams that we haven't been doing that. But we are now. And I understand the live streams have been a bit over the place. It's just because life has just been very busy. And also I've needed to do stuff with the studio in order to get it to a point where, like, we can handle stuff continuously. I'm also looking to probably go back to study next year, potentially, depending on how things go, because I'd like to... So much is changing, especially with music tuition and stuff like that, that I feel like it'd be good for me to get an additional accreditation in order to be able to survive and just, like, have a really good peace of mind, especially if, because what I'm planning on doing is, like, remote work as well. Like, it's remote learning, but also the work can be remote. And that can just be fantastic because it just allows you to work from home or whatever, or, like, you know, like, it's just great peace of mind, which is fantastic, which is good. Hi, Jacob. How you doing? Welcome to the live stream. Hopefully you're well. Yeah, I don't expect this to be busy because I haven't scheduled it, but I just wanted to sort of, like, give a little update live stream and stuff like that. And so again, it's okay if it's not busy. That's all right. It's just more if people want to come and get a song reviewed, they can. I think, Jacob, we did Radiohead for you earlier this month, which was really good. I've had people... I want to sort of quickly talk about Radiohead. Not that anyone's asked. Radiohead for me... I think part of the reason why I never listened to Radiohead when I was younger is because everyone kept telling me to. And I just don't know if I have this sort of anti-authority complex, but I just really just didn't want to, like, listen to them because they almost sort of overhyped it. And I think if someone had been, to be fair, I could have given them a try regardless. But then I also listened to stuff like Paranoid Android and a lot of their kind of big boys. And, like, that, they were okay. I didn't necessarily gel with them. Some of the stuff that you've been showing me, Jacob, has been a bit different. And I appreciate the more sort of atmospheric stuff. I don't necessarily, like, so I remember doing a review of Paranoid Android or another one, and there was someone just saying, like, I don't get it or whatever in the comment section. It's like, yeah, I don't. Am I supposed to get this? Is there something clearly easy to understand about this, or is it deliberately obfuscated so that you kind of have to have your own interpretation and everyone else can argue over it? But, like, learning more about what Radiohead is trying to accomplish has opened me up to their possibilities as musicians, and I'm slowly starting to come around to Radiohead. They are fantastically talented musicians. It's more just that I didn't particularly connect to the music. But Jacob, I think the song that we did earlier this month was one that I did sort of, like, enjoy really, really much. And to be fair, there's other Radiohead ones I've liked too. I just like to know what's going on, and I feel stupid when I don't. I have the other experience when I was younger, as I'm really into the emo scene and I held my nose higher, the artsy-fartsy aesthetic, until I was way older. To be fair, Jacob, I can kind of relate to that. I think that I don't like when people try to be better than they are. it irritates me because I think that when you deliberately try to make yourself seem more sophisticated by overcomplicating stuff, it just not only creates a wall between yourself and everyone else. I think it's actually like, unless your aim is to make yourself seem more exclusive, I think it just kind of, it's like it just makes people resent you because because unless you're like desperate to be in with the crowd, it's just, people are going to be like, why do you think you're better than me? Why is this music not something I can understand? Why is it deliberately need to be that? I think as well, like, sometimes you can be younger. Not talking about you, Jacob, but for me personally, I think like there are genres of music I didn't enjoy when I was younger because I was like, no, I'm a rock musician or like a metalhead or whatever. And then you try it when you're later on and you're a bit less kind of severe, and it's just because you've had a lot more experiences and you're potentially more open because you feel more secure in yourself and what you want, and you're not trying to prove anything to anyone else. And then you just, you have give another go. It's okay, but yeah. TLDR, I think Radiohead's alright. Not that anyone should really care about my opinion too much on it. It's just that it's been good to try more of this stuff. Alan John sings "I'm Still Standing." Great. Performing a song. That's exactly what you want from musicians. Diddy appears shirtless in Son Quincy Brown's pre-arrest family vacation vlog. Badooey mashes up Sabrina Carpenter's taste for the chorus. Breathless on BBC Radio 1 Live Lounge. Jelly Roll and Bunny XO visit a group of inmates in Arkansas. Chicken soup. Yep, that's great. It actually, I suppose, it is nice for musicians coming. I remember watching the Johnny Cash one, or was it the BB King episode where they went? There were videos where I think those musicians went to prisons, and it was a really wonderful experience, a really sort of surreal experience watching these musicians in that kind of raw atmosphere there with the, with the guards and everything like that. Yeah. Okay, so that was it. That was music news on Billboard, the Rolling Stone, Cardi B hospitalized. Damn, that sucks. I'm sorry to hear that Cardi B was hospitalized. What happened? Okay. Zayn Malik reschedules tour dates, postponed after Liam Payne's death. Yep, that makes total sense. Rest in peace to Liam Payne. That was terrible. It was an awful time. It's really sad to hear that they died. And they died so young with the family. Clearly they were going through some really dark stuff, and it's just a shame. It's a shame. Metallica they're touring. Yeah. I think the stuff with Linkin Park has sort of like died down a little bit, like the drama and stuff like that. Which is, I mean, there are going to be people that are still that are going to probably be forever angry at Linkin Park because of the decision to go with the vocalist there. But it's what it is, They're going to either be financially successful because they continue to tour or not. I don't think anybody's ever expecting the singer from Linkin Park to replace Chester. I just don't think that's possible. I don't know many musicians or singers like Chester at all. They've got such a unique voice. Grateful Dead named Music Care's 2025 Persons of the Year. Okay. Yeah, and this is just, I think, a repeat or iteration of what's going on there. And Metallica, yeah, that's okay. I don't like this. It's been so soon. So fucking soon. Sorry, excuse the language. It's so soon after his death. Liam Payne's final days will be covered in new special. I feel like that's a bit early, right? Yeah? Is that not a bit early to be talking about trying to sort of commercialize that? Dave Chappelle and Killer Mike map out co-headlining tour next month, and Tyler, the creator, details massive 2025 Chromacopia World Tour. Great. That'll be fun. Hopefully they enjoy that. I'm sure he will. Tyler doing amazing things as a musician. Yeah, so it looks like a lot of musicians are going on tour, which is cool. You should be. It's been a few years since COVID now, and even though there's a lot of parts of the world that are struggling with the finances and stuff like that, there are also a lot of people who potentially, arguably as a consequence of that, have a lot of disposable income, depending on what side of the field you're on. So, new nightclub and music venue, Amber's opening Manchester. Okay, just screw it. This is the top thing. The top thing in all of NME is this here. This must be paid. This is a paid. This is paid, right? Isn't it? Is this not a paid advertisement? Like, that's the top of the music news. And it's bigger than the Music Beatles' iconic Abbey Road recording console going. Now, that's cool. That's really cool. I like that. That's an interesting story. The Beatles' iconic Abbey Road recording console going up for sale on Reverb. The console was also used by each member of the Fab Four on their solo work. The console used to record the Beatles' legendary Abbey Road has been restored and is up for sale on Reverb. The EMI TG12345 recording console, which was used by the Fab Four to create their final 1969 LP, will be available for purchase starting on October 29 via the official Reverb shop of London Recording Studio Pros and Collectors, MJKQ Limited. Yeah. That's old school, man. What is that? How do I don't want to make it full screen. I don't know how big that is for you guys. It's probably like the size of an equivalent video. Oh, you can just go here, can't we?
Hamish, you there?
Great to see you.
My brother. I'm Malcolm.
How much money do you think is involved with this? Having triggered drum samples as an example for how this console sounds is hilarious. Clearly, it wasn't the console that made the Beatles sound so good. Recording on a 60s console but using triggers on the drums. That's brutal. That's it's inspiring to know that I don't need the Beatles console to sound like crap. Damn, man.
Jackson, and this is my son Hamish. And
It's complicated. These were the ones we had to work with different manufacturers to try and
I don't know what people are talking about. I don't necessarily dislike the tone of this. I think it sounds fine. Where are the drums that people are complaining about?
You still turn me on, even if I skip the beat.
It's like, this would have been legendary, like an incredible opportunity to be able to record on a console. If I was the drummer, I'd be pretty kind of, I don't know how I would feel about the drums. Being sampled, being triggered. I don't know why you would do that. That seems kind of weird to me. Like, you'd want to have the authentic tone of the actual console, right? Like, they probably thought this was a slam dunk. They probably thought, man, if we do a video like this, people are going to want to buy it. People are going to want to love this and adore this, and it's going to be fantastic. And then the situation you've got is that people are listening to them thinking, it just sounds like most other recording consoles that are released nowadays that are, how much is it? How much is it? How much is this console going for? Go on, be brave. Go on. How much is it? Like, how much do they think it's worth?
It's only hearing 24 channels going with actual live music through it and seeing it being used as a real console without any issues.
You'd hope there wouldn't be any issues. Why would you expect there to be issues? It's been restored. Like, stuff was built incredibly well back then, and they would have needed to be so careful back then in order to record the Beatles.
It's now no longer a museum piece, it's actually a working console.
It's bulletproof. It's worked perfectly. We haven't had a click, a crackle, a scratch, nothing on the whole recording in the last few days.
Good.
Whatever you put in comes out sounding better. And I discovered on the TGs it has a sonic quality that somehow enhances the signal as it goes through.
It was a privilege to work on this piece of equipment, and to be given this to work on was unbelievable.
This was built to be the best. It holds up against...
It's just a big advertisement for this desk. Like, do you reckon that Reverb are going to get like the Reverb do get a cut? Reverb get a cut of this, right? How much of a cut does Reverb take on sales? 5%. 5%. So Reverb are going to get 5% selling fee. So of course they're pushing this because they know that they're going to sell this for 100K. Like, if we put way more than 100, 24 track mixing console. So let's just go for like very, very, like, and they can get an Allen and Heath mixing console for nowadays. That's about $7,700 NZD, which equates to probably about $4,800 in USD. And that's you know, it's fine. It's okay. Sup? Hello, universe. Welcome to the live stream. Large format mixes. Here, where are the big boys? I want the big boys. I want like the equivalent to what that would be. Now, I've already got kind of an idea of what the equivalent to that would be. It'd be like one of these guys potentially, but not really, because even they look a lot cheaper than that. Like a solid state matrix or something like that. Like the equivalent is that. So like if we go for like solid state logic 24 track disc, how much is a 24 track disc? Like, where is the cost for that? I would like to know, because the wildest thing is, I don't know if you guys have seen the thing where like they talk about going into a shop and they don't have price tags, and the person's like, how much is this thing? And the clerk at the store says, if you have to ask how much this is, you don't have enough money. And I get the impression that this is the dealio with this. You know, like literally the very first photo of the thing in action, or to be fair, that's a much bigger one, but this is the Star Wars studios. Oh man, to be honest, not necessarily. It's just got like a Stormtrooper and like Chewie and stuff like that there. Yeah, I don't know, man. I'm trying to figure out the equivalent price here of one of these. Yeah. Okay, what about this then? The Soundcraft U20IR. Nope, not that. Oh. Here we are, boys. Here we are, boys and girls. So this is what we're talking about. So this here is a 24-track old school disc. This is worth an equivalent of probably about it'll be worth about 100,000 US dollars. So if you're wondering how much money are Reverb going to make on the sale of this disc and why Reverb are advertising, it's not just because it looks good that the disc is on the website. What we've got going on here is that it's how kind of them to give free shipping. Now, to be fair, the shipping for a console like this, look at that absolute beast. Look at all those inputs, baby. That is wild. The thing is, the shipping for this would easily be probably, I don't know, probably up to $1,000 for shipping, because of just how big it is, how fragile it is, etc. But, and this is the important thing, right? This is the important thing to note. You're paying $165,000 for a device that is probably only 10 to 15%. It looks way fancier than this one. Looks way fancier. It's even got its own legs you can stand on. But this is 48 channel though. This is twice as much. That 96 kilohertz, like that would be an upgrade that would keep you going for a very long time. Like you look at the back of that, that's 24 inputs. To be fair, what I will note is that those are only XR inputs. Trying to figure out that one. So what if so everything would have to be XLR. Everything would have to be XLR. That's weird. That's weird. But it's what it is, I suppose. But yeah. So yeah, I think that they will definitely make the money on this. They will make money on this. But I also think that it's going to be like far more expensive than 165 for the brand new. I'm surprised that they're not auctioning it. I think Reverb they paid quite a bit to get this. They probably consider it marketing. Yeah. All right. Let's do it. Thank you to Jacob, as well as who do we have? Who do we have at the moment? Now, what I'm doing here is... oh, this is commissions. I'm on the wrong page. Let me just sort this out. Nope, commissions are open. And we have two. I've realized here, if I pull this over, I usually get confused because when you do commissions, there's just all of these. But there's an option to go commissions not completed, and it specifically shows me how many are in the queue without me needing to overcomplicate it. So thank you to Jacob Good, as well as I presume it is Shinyidar, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong. It is! Welcome, Shinyidar. Welcome, Jacob. And as well as Universe. I'm Jacob. I'm presuming that you're helping Universe out with that. I appreciate it. Thank you very much. So let's get into it, shall we? We're going to do some tracks. What are your thoughts on the Beatles disc? Good luck. Good luck with work. Hopefully work goes well for you, Shinyida. In the meantime, yep, Jacob. Oh, we got Jacob. That's Jacob. And then here we've got plastic trees. Thank you, Jacob. Appreciate that. A very old song and one of my favorites, unfortunately, even more relevant in social media age. Cool, cool, cool. Let's get into this then, shall we? Let's do it.
The green plastic watering can for a fake Chinese rubber plant and a fake plastic girl. That you bought from a rubber man in a town full of rubber plants to get rid of itself. The world's around. The world's around.
Beautiful vocals with the organ there.
The world's around. The world's around. She lives with a broken mind, a crackpot, a styrene man who just crumbles It was in my arms.
Hi Judith, welcome to the live stream.
She looks like a real friend. She tastes like a real friend. My wakeful eyes still love. But I can't help the feeling. I could blow through the ceiling if I just stayed. And it wears me out. It wears me out. It wears me out. It wears me out. And if I could be who you wanted, if I could be who you wanted all the time, all the time.
It's so delicate, isn't it? Just for the organ, the guitarist, the bass, the drums. It's so easy to digest. But it's very impactful. You're welcome, music channels. So that was Radiohead Fake Plastic Trees. What do I think this track is about? I think Jacob said just more relevant in the social media age where nothing much is authentic anymore and we all look at anything as numbers and clicks and likes. Yeah, I'd vibe with that. I think that the song, it's clearly trying to communicate a sense of wanting authenticity and like you so desperately want to fall for the lie that's being fed to you, but you just also realize that, you if you get sucked into it, it's going to eventually sort of just ruin you. And it's just so tiring having to deal with that push and pull regardless. It's people trying to deal with like plastic trees and like plastic surgery and like plastic relationships, like fake stuff. And it's just, yeah. It's interesting talking from different perspectives, different people's sort of like positions and such. And it's brutal, but yeah, I do agree that it can apply to nowadays and just the fact that people just struggle to be authentic. And I kind of enjoy the fact that the singer is expressing that authenticity within their performance, just discussing things that tire them out. They show solid vocal technique and they're comfortable in a head chest voice, and the melodies that we have throughout are really captivating. It's also a song where we have this, we sound like we're struggling with the situation. It is tiring us out, like having to cope with that. And you do really feel for the guy singing it. You can feel the weight of those words going between head and chest voice, the falsettos, that kind of stuff. It's brutal, but yeah, it's meaningful for that. How gentle the acoustic guitar strumming is, working as a great sort of foil and main harmony in the mix. The organs sort of simmering in the ether in the mid-range there, but aglow them occasionally, but also kind of melancholic in their affectation. The drums, when they do come in, being sort of very low key and almost sort of just meant specifically be a way to slightly increase the intensity without it being too much, but also pushing the song forward in a way that's meaningful and doesn't overwhelm the listener. The bass line sort of backing things up in the foundation. And you bring these things together for a track where there's almost a sense of spirituality because of the organs that almost seem like we're looking to a higher power for support. But it's just the case of kind of almost sort of like meditating on that and just realizing just how tired we are and having that quiet moment there. And it sounds like a song that is meant to sort of make you think because of how slowly it takes itself, because of the openness, the interpretation of the harmonies there, and because of the way that the vocals are expressed. Studio recording, mixing, mastering is commercial grade. No complaints about that. Really well handled. Clean transfers between parts. I liked this song. Thank you to Jacob for putting this track forward for a review. I really appreciate that. It was an interesting song. It's great to hear more of their work. I'm starting to get more understand Radiohead as we go. That's cool. That was Jacob's. Who do we have next? We have Logan. So wait, when I fix this, it should be commissions not completed. Okay, cool. So we have one from Shinida as well as one from Paul. 7931. So let's go for your request. Yeah. So what does Shinida have for us today? I don't have the link. I'm assuming it's on YouTube. I don't know where that is. If I go here, am I... Hang on. Is there a link? I can't see it. I'm just trying to find a link for this. I'm looking here and I don't see a link to the video in the message, which means I don't know where it is. Is it live? Is it this one?
And peace. Thank you.
I'm assuming that this is it. It is! We found it. That was good. Yes! Awesome. That was okay. We found it. All right. Oh, sorry. Hang on. I didn't realize I sent that twice. There we go. Good. My bad. Let's go, guys. So this is from Shinida. This is titled Runway from David Tao.
Run away. Yeah!
Yay!
Come on, guys. Want to hear me?
太阳快要下山了，什么都不做，只拿遥控器一直不停地换台。
Voiceover?
麻木的神经，感觉自己像个机器，快不能呼吸。
打开冰箱看看里面的东西，除了酱瓜什么也没有。算了，去外面吃吧。
我的太阳永远在前方，无尽的公路，无尽的追求。不想要 run away, run
Fantastic. Tight percussion.
想在怀疑自己对不对，刷干一切无所谓。Run away, run away.
And the finger drumming as well is just sensational.
焦躁的像种茫然现实中的逃离。
你想的太简单了吧？你觉得你想做的，
坚持下去又有什么样的意义？
喂，你拿着钥匙要去哪里啊？你别忘了明天还要上班呢，别在外面鬼混。
风吹乱头发，黑夜星空下，无尽的公路，无尽的追求。我想要 run away run away， 不想再怀疑自己对不对，甩开一切无所谓。
It's quite a busy composition, but I think it works quite well regardless.
想再怀疑自己对不对，是为自己不为谁。快点 run away, yeah, come on, baby。很多人在说，不断的一直说，不准这个样子做，不能够那样做，最后没有办法在自己的生命中突破。Oh yeah， 而不会再不走，就永远不会走，别人自己才会走，没真才能够有自由。拜托，我想要 run away run away， 不想再怀疑自己对不对，甩开一切无所谓。Run away run away, that's right， 快点去 run away run away， 不想再怀疑自己对不对，是为自己不为谁。快点去 run away, come on, take it away. Woo!
Oh, it's a MIDI violin. It sounds like a trumpet. Oh no, it's a violin sound. That was such a clean run at the end, dude. Excellent. So that was Runaway from David Tao. Wow. I'm pretty sure that was David Tao, right? David at his prime was just so effortlessly commanding on stage. Good to know, Jacob. And Paul7931 says, I have seen this concert too many times. I think it looks like a lot of fun. I think the concert looks like a lot of fun. I think that all the musicians on stage were having a lot of fun. There was a lot of really incredible musicians on stage. David just did handle themselves really well. There was a lot going on within the actual the instrument performance itself. The vocals. You know, the vocals from David Tao here. I mean, if we go back to the start, what was that message he had initially?
It's all about love and peace. Thank you.
It's about love and peace. I'm not sure what he's running away from, whether it's a runaway. Like, what is he running away from specifically? Can someone help me out with that? I don't know the language apart from the English parts. But the vocal performance itself is very comfortable. His head and chest voice, you know, come on stage, charismatic. You know, it's constantly interacting with the crowd, saying, "Come on," you know, like trying to get everyone involved in it. Yeah, that's right. It's cool. He's very having a great time interacting with the other band members as well. Like introduces the electric violinist there to come on, and the different guitar players for lead solos near the end. It's just the man and his acoustic who is able to sort of write music that encapsulates everything else and brings it all together. And it's just really elegant. The song itself at 5 minutes, I think, is well fleshed out. When you have someone sing a story well and you've got that main melody sorted, you just need the guitar, bass, drums, keys, and the violin as well to come in and sort of like make it sparkle. And we had that here. We had musicians who could play their, like, the performance itself is tight. If I go through a few of the different instruments we had like the guitars, typically sort of open chordal strum stuff, not bars for the acoustics for David's parts. We had a couple of other lead players who were playing little bluesy, sort of countryish, happy little jingles throughout there, a bit of pentatonic work as well. And the solo sections there, we'd sort of split between the low and highs there. We had some shreddy stuff as well, switching between Hamiltons and pull-offs, so big bends in that last solo section. But it was finding the little niches and chromatics that would fit into the arrangement that wouldn't overcomplicate it. The harmonies allowed for enough space for the lead players one at a time to be able to do their thing. And I think the bass player reinforcing the root notes with their parts there were foundational, not overcomplicating stuff. Maybe some occasional tails, but like just having a great sense of pace of everything else is good. And so the drums as well, exploring the drum kit thoroughly. There were some incredible tom fills there. We had some finger drums as well, which had some 16th and 8th note grooves there that peppered things really neatly with their tones and timbres. And we had dynamic range here, so the drums weren't the same intensity the entire time. You know, sometimes they were less present than more, like the chorus parts were clearly a bit heavier and stuff. But we had our sort of fundamental pocketing grooves covered with the cymbals, kicks, and snares. And then we also knew how to do transfers, which is great in a way that didn't take too much focus away from everyone else in the arrangement. The keys with synth parts, I think. The synths had a nice sort of sparkle to them and the glow, which contrasted with what a lot of the guitar parts are doing. Very busy part. I was song from a layering perspective there. It's difficult to balance that many guitars. But I think having a synth there as a different texture was smart. And then, of course, you had the lead sort of violinist there who was playing 16th note melodies on top there, kind of filling in that mid to upper range there that David was occasionally touching, but they still had sort of room to niche up near the ceiling. And I think you put all these things forward in a song where the structure is quite well-intentioned. You have clean transfers between verses and choruses there with dynamic range, changes in intensity there. It never becomes too much. It's a song where the theme overall, you know, Judas has mentioned David wanted to run away from the doubts on himself. Sup, NW Kitchen? Hello. There's a sense of positivity about the chord progressions there. They're typically majorish there. There might be some minorish sort of elements occasionally, but like we typically stay in the major key. And it never becomes cheesy, which I think is really smart as well. It's not easy to do that, but we managed to handle getting away from too much sort of like awkwardness there. So it's not peppy track with a great sense of pace with all the instruments, tight performance, and the studio recording, mixing, and mastering is just fantastic. Overall, there's no gaps, there's no filler, and I think that was just a really great show of force from David Tao and everyone else involved. Had the right people with him. Thank you to Shinya for putting that track forward. Hopefully, that was okay. I feel like there was a lot to absorb there, but I think that we managed to just kind of like balance that in a way that was very satisfying, and it was cool. All right, who do we have next? We've done Shinyi Das. We have oh my goodness, I'm losing my mind. Kofi is doing this thing now where like it's just for whatever reason confusing the it's confusing the shop for the commissions, and so I refreshed the page like I used to. And then it just doesn't want to behave itself. We have 3 requests in the queue. Thank you to Paul, Judith, and Andres. Welcome to Andres. Hopefully you're doing well. It's been a while, but it's good to see you. We have a Yule Electric from Paul7931. So let's do it. Thanks for your request. Cool. I think Yola, if I'm not mistaken, has recently released some new material, which is kind of dope. This might be her new stuff. I don't know. But either way, we'll check it out. Be good times. Let's go. There should be 3 in the queue. Why are you not? Oh, wow. Yeah, no, the internet's been really weird today. So this is 2 years ago.
The only thing reminding me to stay alive is the scars I see that drips down from my
It's so dreamy, isn't it? Thank you, Paul, for this. It's kind of sharp sounding, but we just avoid it being too much. It's kind of a... It's definitely a drop. It's just... I mean, the filtering is just... The post-production is incredible. It's always kind of tricky to review a Yule song. This is Yule the track Electric. I think if I look at what the song is about, like, Staring at My Soul and tells me to imagine what it would be like if I hadn't met you. So I'm assuming that, like, maybe the scars that they have is because they met this person and it was like an electric experience. It damaged them. But, like, they're kind of dealing with the consequences of having interacted with that person. And this knows lovely dream was ending slowly, boiling through my blood and telling me to let you in. Yeah, so I think it's basically about like an interpersonal relationship, and they're just really struggling with the fact that this other person has made them feel like this. Maybe like the relationship has been like a toxic relationship, and they're really struggling. Like yeah, it's just that it's just a look at the damage has been done. That's my take on it. And I think that it's told in a way which is very creative. It's nice to have like structurally the main sort of verse or chorus parts there going between these almost sort of like voices instrument kind of parts there, where we kind of hit and then we kind of go into this kind of squealy kind of up pitched part there with the drum, these big sort of cinematic sort of drums on the sides of the stereo field. A lot of the value in this track is the sound design, the way things are positioned and filtered, and just the way things are treated. It's an out of body experience and sort of surreal because of that. It's definitely not analog, that's for sure. I think that it sort of works well with the digital aesthetic, but the vocal performance from Eula is relatively minimalist in that approach there. I think when you take away the work that's done to make these vocals sound the way they are, you have someone who can sing well but doesn't overcomplicate it, and they go through the mix in a way that's quite sort of sweet and almost innocent and palatable. There's no kind of ickiness to it. If there's any kind of uncomfortable sentence or situations, it's because of the way things have been made to sound again in post. But I think that the melodies made sense there, and again, it was nice to have different ways of singing, whether it was actual words or parts of the hook lines or whatever, or then the little gaps there were sort of more make sort of sounds rather than yeah, story. But the track at 3 minutes 15 is nice and short. It's more of an introspective piece, one you can kind of meditate on. It doesn't change too much. It's just that, you know, you have the way the vocals are in the center or on the sides there. You have all these different sort of dreamy, wistful, reverby elements there with these massive diddle-a-dum drums that come in occasionally, but other times things just float. Sometimes things are absolutely sort of quiet and they simmer. Like if you go to this part, for example, and you have like heavily soaked keys there. So maybe some sort of roundish kind of squarish basses moving into this part. And there are more of those kind of attacked keys there. Delayed drums. And like heavily modulated or vocoded vocals there. And they're stepped, and it's for an effect almost to make the vocals seem like an instrument. And you have quiet pads there, which have a great sense of sort of dimensionality, depth to them. Bits of fuzz, and back into this. And like incredibly sort of digitally kind of just absolutely fuzzy vocals on the side. Like there's like 20 different instruments within this. And it's like, which one do I focus on? Do I focus on the one that was there for 3 seconds or the one that was there for 10 seconds? So like, I think you need multiple listens to this track in order to feel it. The actual overall chord progression is not complicated. We don't have massive shifts in key signatures or time signatures or bass lines. It's just more that the value of this track is in the atmosphere that is created by the specific instruments that we use, the awareness of what textures and tones suit where, just the creativity involved in choosing those sounds, and just it's incredibly impressive from a production standpoint. Just the actual compositionally productive standpoints. The theme overall is incredibly dreamlike, almost like you're lost in a trance. It's so authentic to that, and it's so sort of like close to that it's like on the nose, but it's part of her style, and it's almost like they're trying to create, they're really committing to the bit. And you get the feeling that even though there is some really heavy, awful stuff being spoken about, like a lot of other Yoela's music, it's like hideous, but it's also so beautiful. And they managed to sort of toe the line there really neatly between the absolutely kind of super duper intense elements of the story or whatever, and then just how luxurious the tunes are. I think that the strength is the different text, like the different sounds. I know it sounds so basic. It's like almost patronizingly basic, but it's what it is. It's a different type of composition because we have the capabilities to production wise that we might not have had 20 years ago. It's just, this is a type of, I enjoy this. The studio recording, mixing, mastering is just an absolute masterpiece. Like no complaints at all. It's transcendent the way that it's featured here. And I'm really glad I had the opportunity to review more of it. Thank you to Paul7931 for that. I feel like I covered the fundamentals here, but I'd really need to sit down with a pad and a pen and go, this thing, and this thing, and this thing did this, and this thing did this. Things just, they made up the triads, and they made up the main melodies, and the bass was there, but just you know, like, it's just, there's two planes of thought. There's the actual fundamental bass line, chord progressions, etc. And then there are the different things playing the same notes but in lots of different ways. Yeah. But that was Yoela with Electric. Hopefully that made sense and wasn't like, yeah. Actually, I mean, I definitely had a go at reviewing it, if nothing else. Yeah, that's how I do it. Okay, so we've got 4 in the queue now. Thank you to Paul. How are we doing for time? We can probably do a few more. That's cool. Again, what does Judith have for us today? So I've got Judith and then Andreas, and then I've got a few more from Shinyi Das, which will be good. So this is I Know What I Like in Your Wardrobe. There we go. Let's do it. Judith. Let's go. And then no, I didn't mean to do that. Here we go. I Know What I Like in Your Wardrobe. Genesis. Ooh, this is very spooky.
1 o'clock and time for lunch. Bum-de-dum-de-dum. When the sun beats down and I lie on the bench, I can always hear them talk.
There's always been Ethel. Jacob, wake up, we got to tidy your room now. And then Mr. Lewis, wasn't it time that he was out on his own? Over the garden wall, 2 little lovebirds, cuckoo to you. Keep them moving, they shot. I know what I like, and I like what I know. Getting better in your wardrobe, stepping one beyond your
It's such huge music. I'm going to try not to pause too much, but just it's such massive music. It's like, how do I describe it? It doesn't seem like they're making a song. It seems like they're making an experience. It just seems larger than life.
Sunday night, Mr. Farmer called, said, listen, son, you're wasting time. There's a future for you in the fire escape train. Come up to town.
And the groove of the hi-hat with the vocals.
Gambling only pays when you're winning. Had to thank old Miss Ross for schooling a failure. Keep them moving short. I know what I like, and I like what I know. Getting better in your wardrobe, stepping one beyond your show. I know what I like, and I like what I know. Getting better in your wardrobe, stepping one beyond your show.
And that organ there, that tension there.
When the sun beats down and I lie on the bench, I can always hear them talk. Me? I'm just a lawnmower. You can tell me by the way I walk.
And back to that rumble, the low end there that we had at the start. What is that meant to represent, though? Is that meant to be the sound of the lawnmower? Okay, so that was I Know What I Like in Your Wardrobe by Genesis. I don't think I've listened to much Genesis before, but I think that like this was a song where like I feel like you need multiple listens to really sort of understand what's going on within it. It's without overthinking the vocals. I get, you know, we're talking about like there's a town and there's Ethel and Jacob. And then Mr. Lewis, so he's basically bystanding everyone else talking about their own things. And there's like a talk in the second verse about like, you know, there's a future few in the fire escape trade come up to town. I remember the voice in the past, gambling only pays when you're winning. And so basically I think it's potentially about sort of staying in your lane and trying not to sort of overcomplicate things and letting other people live their life and hearing other people talk about it and stuff like that. And then you're just this person and you're just kind of doing things one day at a time, or maybe trying to sort of like improve things little by little. You know, getting better in your wardrobe, stepping one beyond your show. So it could also be, I think it's about other people being materialist. Yeah, to get better in his wardrobe. Yeah, it could be Judith. I don't know exactly what it means, but my best guess is that they are talking about materialism. The protagonist mows lawns being told to get better. I think it's everyone else encouraging them to do better and earn more money and try and do this and all everything like that. But the guy just knows what he wants to do and just does it. That's basically what I think this track is about. And so, like, you have the mowing at the start, which maybe is the lawnmower, that like hum, the hustle and bustle, the kind of tension, the brrr at the start of the track, and at the end. And he's talking about his job in the middle, and then he just goes back to lawn mowing after he says his part, as if, like, you know, like that was just him sort of aware of the situation around them, and then just kind of moving forward with that. I'm not sure how that sort of relates to everything else in the album, but I think that was still quite clever. The vocal performance, with the harmonies and melodies, the sort of spoken parts, is charismatic, it's friendly, it's energetic, it's fun to listen to. There's a sense of groove and pace with the rhythm section as well. Very kind of easy to listen to. It's fun. It's a track where, like, it's got a bit of a sense of humor to it as well in parts, and it I enjoyed it. It didn't take itself too seriously. The instrumental performance, on the other hand, was incredibly intricate. Now, the main parts I remember in this track were, again, it started with the synths at the start and the bottom, with lots of different sort of like bells and hand drums and percussive elements on the drums, a bass line which was sort of active in the root notes, and as well as the triads and octaves. So the funky is heck, exploring the progressions that we have with the keys for the most part, the keys. If I go through the track and kind of go through the middle. I can't figure out if that's like keys or if there is a guitar with just like a rotary reverb or something like that on it. It could be a fairly heavily modulated guitar, but either way, the bass line is a lot of what drove this. The drums with lots of different ideas on the kicks, snares, and cymbals, typically pocketing.
I'm just a lawnmower. You can...
And there were some parts as well I should remember that, like, where he would kind of do the hi-hats and groove with what the vocalist was singing. That sort of unison rhythmically there with specific words was really cool. And the time signatures in this track were kind of out there. It was almost like we were stretching the instrumental parts to sort of more suit the length of the spoken parts to kind of make it a bit less predictable, which was kind of neat. You don't often get that nowadays. Usually people are like, fit this into 4/4 and 4 bars of it. But then they go, oh, this one's slightly shorter than the other. So we kind of move away from that. And we come back into a chorus where it's a bit more sort of like straightforward and easy to follow. But yeah, we had different chord progressions for different parts there. Like they were distinct ideas harmonically. The progressions weren't too overly complicated. It's just that we wanted to sort of separate things, and structurally it was never predictable, not just because of the time signature changes and stuff like that, but also because there was enough variety going on with different lead elements. I'm not quite sure what their lead instrument at the end was. It could have been like a voice box or something like that. It didn't sound like a dedicated sort of like solo instrument, like a guitar or the keys or whatever. It's slightly different tone, but it was a nice way to fill things out. It left a sense of unease with the synths coming back in near the end with that darkness and that rumble. But aside from that, it's cool. I'm just not entirely sure what's going on there. But again, it's just another episode of being on the bench, I suppose. But I think that, again, there was an incredibly tight band. Really wonderful, well-considered performance there with a lot of love put into the composition itself. The theme overall kind of sounded more sort of friendly and gentle. It wasn't too sort of like severe in either direction. It was more sort of like a day in the life of these people, and sort of almost with the cheeriness of it was sort of parodying the need for everyone else to do better because they were desperate for more cash in order to spend more. So I think in that regard, I think it was neat. Production was commercial grade, no complaints about it at all. Great for its time. I think this was released in 1973. Yeah, no, absolutely stellar. Yep, things were well leveled. You could hear everything. It was great. Thank you to Judith. That was a tricky one. There's been a few tricky ones to review today, but I like having a go at it and seeing what I can do. What do we have next after Judith's one? Did we do it? We need to mark that as completed. That's good. And then we go back and then we go here. Completed, not completed. There we are. There are 3 to go. We have 3. Andreas is next. So what does Andreas have for us today? Indonesian music this time. Curious to hear your thoughts. I am keen to do that. We shall check that out really quick. So this is Andreas. Here. Thanks for your request. And this is Padi Mahadewi, if I'm not mistaken. Hopefully I'm not butchering that pronunciation. Yeah, my internet's being a bit weird today, which is annoying, but it's what it is. No, yeah, there's one, but it'll be closed after this. I think that'll be closed after this. We'll see how we go. This is from Andreas. This is Padi Mahadewi. Let's go. Because I have to go to work after this. Gorgeous combination of guitar leads and strong rhythms.
Bertahta bintang-bintang angkasa, namun satu bintang yang berpijar teruntai turun menyapaku. Ada tutur kata
I mean, it almost sounds sort of classic rockish, doesn't it?
yang ku rasakan bila sinarnya sentuh wajahku, kepedihanku berhapuslah. Alam raya pun semua tersenyum, menunduk dan memuja hadirnya. Terpukau aku menatap wajahnya, aku merasa mengenal.
Great development of the vocal harmonies.
Tapi ada entah di mana, hanya hatiku mampu menjawabnya. Mahadewi resapkan nilainya, pencarianku usai sudah.
I mean, like the new instrument introduced at this stage, it's a great development device. It's great to have the strings come in with the vocals there. Well done. Beautiful, man. It was that falsetto. That would have been falsetto at the end there. That's gorgeous. Thank you, Andreas. That was Party with Mahadewi. Dewi, if I'm not mistaken. There are also some lyrics. I'm just going to quick look at over here. And of course, it's just absolutely scuffed. I just why are you so big? Okay, so we got like, oh man, this website. Okay, this website makes me feel frustrated. So like, I'm gonna look on this side, just because it'll be big on here. Of course, it's in the middle of the thing. A vastly perfect skies is thrown by stars of space. So it's basically showing like gratitude for like a goddess up in the skies, I think is what a lot of this track is about. I think that's a beautiful thing. The way that we sing is, especially with the choir vocals near the end, kind of makes it seem like a more spiritual experience. And I think that we show a really great sort of head and chest voice here, as well as just vocal technique in the verses and choruses here. And we have a specific way of expressing ourselves per thing. And it makes the sections more distinct because of that. The way that we harmonize with other elements like the strings and stuff when they come in a bit later on, and the way that we layer the choir vocals, the mains, is really palatable. And it's this is one da 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 dun dun. It's like a triplet groove the entire time, so we sort of dance over that in the way. That it's uplifting, and it does sound like they're sort of grateful for what's going on. And for the goddess up above that's created only for them. The song itself, with the understanding the vocals done a great job on the mic, it 4 minutes 11, it's well fleshed out. We have this lead melody immediately from the guitars that is distinct and catches your attention, and the strings on the side, well actually no, not immediately. Is it like immediately or a little bit after? Hang on. No, you have the choir at the start. I'm glad I checked that. Almost kind of like an Ave Maria-ish kind of thing, right? Okay, cool. I'm glad I called that. So you start with the choir and instantly instantiating that you might get those vocals, which return later on, which is really powerful. Then you have like a drum fill coming in with some flams and kick parts. And then you have the lead guitar with the strummed elements there, the bass and drums come in and sort of fill things in. And I think that's just a really interesting way to layer a song, because you don't just have everything at once. You're like, oh, that's a thing. On the side, left side of the stereo field, oh, the drums, the drummer can play and they introduce themselves, which is not as a common thing as you might get. And then boom, straight into the main part. And I think that the drummer clearly played really effectively. They were in time, they pocketed, they allowed a lot of space for the rest of the elements to come forward in the mix, being supportive, but also had their sense of identity, such as in that intro section as well as other fill parts. The bass player was punchy, and they had a great sense of they sat well with the drummer in the mix, and they also highlighted the root notes of the chord progressions really effectively. The clean strummed guitar parts on the sides there with the open chords just sounded nice and gentle, and were a great sort of ground bed for what was going on with the leads whenever they appeared, as well as the vocals when they took over from the center. The lead guitars in the top, again, essentially that really sort of clear core melody there that is revisited as we go along. The strings, like the violin or whatever we had there with the melodies or harmonies, there were a great foil and a different texture later onto the piece that kept the composition sounding fresh and was never too much and never sort of like overstayed its welcome. And when you combine all those elements together with the understanding that the transfers between verses and choruses were really clean, we even had again that solo section later on, which was a nice sort of bit of adjustment and spice in the mix. It's a track where I don't really think you needed to do anything differently. It is, I'm just going to quickly close the queue as well right now. Yeah, good. I'm just closing the queue now. So that's good. That's done. I'm glad I did that. What do I want to say there? I just think overall, when you have those instruments come together, and it's an uplifting song that has, with the grace of the vocals, the gentleness of the guitars, the drums and how tight they are, the consistency of the triplet group, almost like we're dancing through our worship of that higher power, and the wanting to keep those leads varied, and as well as the strings coming in later at the end with the choir vocals we at the start. It's just really neatly tied together compositionally. The track sounds majorous and uplifting way, like we're celebrating it. There's not a lot else that really sort of tells me what this track is about instrumentally, apart from the choir vocals, but I think it's enough, especially if you understand the language, to be able to put the pieces together and enjoy it. So I think it's a really well-written track there, and I enjoyed listening to it. Studio recording, mixing, mastering is commercial grade as per usual. A lot of these tracks, especially with tracks that have like 29mm plays, are typically very, very well handled. It's part of why they get to that level, but it's also just worth noting for transparency. Hopefully that makes sense. Again, some of these tracks that have been like, have I really sort of talked about the way I want to? Because I'm trying not to go on tangents. But nonetheless, thank you very much to Andreas for putting this through. I think it's a really well-written track. The language barrier is there for me, but I can appreciate what they're trying to accomplish here, and I think that they handled it really tastefully. So yeah, that was cool. So we've done that for Andrew. And Andreas, sorry, Andreas. I apologize. Andrew is someone else. Andreas, apologies. Who do we have next? We have 3 more today. We have 2 more from Shin Yi-da. What do we have? This song is it's a song. I don't know what it is. We will find out though. There we are. No. I want you to show it. Thank you. Who is this? King of Kings, Triple H. So this is from Shin Yi-da. King of Kings. WWE Motorhead. Yeah, hopefully I'm not too far off, Andreas. Maybe I'm like tripping. I don't know, but that's my best take that I can take on the song. WWE King of Kings Triple H. Thank you to Shin Yi-da. Let's go.
Behold the king.
Oh, also, of course, sup shredders. I've closed the queue for today. For today, I'll get the remaining 3 songs sorted from Shin Yi-da and Aqua now. Thanks for the requests so far. Yeah, so let's get into this. Let's do it.
The King of Kings.
The King of Kings. Heavy.
All hail. Bow down to the king. Bow down to the king.
Bit of Motorhead.
He walked from the place where the traitor lost both his name and his face. Through the halls and the corridors, stinking in blood, he tasted his grin, and it tasted good. The king took his head, left him broken and dead. Bow down to the king. Bow down to the king. Bow down to the.
Drums are a little bit subtle, but everything else is really clear.
Living, unable to tell. The king took their heads and he sent them to hell. Their screams echo loud in the place of their death. Ripped open they die with their final breath. They hail the King of Kings.
fantastic.
The king is here. Now feel your fear. The king of kings.
I don't know the lore, but like, I love that they got Motorhead involved with this.
All hail the king. On your knees for the king of kings. There is only one.
So I feel like this song is a little bit more straightforward than a lot of the other tracks I've had today. I think that WWE King of Kings with Triple H feature with Motorhead is about Triple H basically destroying all his enemies and being the King of Kings. It's basically leaving no one standing and sort of decimating in their wake. I recorded in 2011, so this is a little bit later in Motorhead's career. I think that Lemmy's vocals here are still really solid there. You can tell he's getting on a bit, but like he just handles it on the mic. Very comfortable, very confident, sells a bit really effectively. Has a sort of great sort of gristle to his vocals there. Sort of great characterization of it. It suits the story and what's being told there. And there's edginess to it and everything like that, but I think, to be fair, the early 2010s are a bit of an edgy time anyways, and there's WWE that we're speaking about, so it's totally cool. I think that we sung it well, we sold it, the crowd chants in the chorus with a nice bit of extra oomph, and ultimately, yeah, it's just it's a solid performance there. The track itself, at 3 minutes 58, I don't know if I wouldn't have preferred more variation within the extra structure of the track instrumentally. I think that it's a song where you have the guitar, bass, and drums, but the main instruments, and it's very sort of easy to digest there. You have power chords and a shreddy lead section there, bluesy pentatonics there at the end there, incredibly sort of with some bends, and it's just a great foil for what's going on with the continued chanting of the vocals in that outro part. I think that was an interesting decision to have it. Like, I couldn't necessarily follow along with like the time signature and how we were phrasing things like like bar wise, but still it was really cool. I like the fact that in the structurally we had like extra amounts of like no vocals after each line there to kind of let it sink in, and then boom, the next thing comes in. Where it was very sort of dramatic and almost theatrical in the way that we told the verses there. The Bow Down to the King was an anthemic chorus line. And I can understand why it gets you excited for it. And again, getting like a theme song made by Motorhead would be pretty dope. But yeah, the power chords and lead parts of the guitars were fantastic, really well played. I would have appreciated more sort of variety, maybe some other lead elements, but earlier to sort of signal there was going to be a lead guitar solo at the end. It seems a little bit sort of too conservative for my tastes in that regard. But I think the bass line there was nice and heavy in the low range there, typically sort of pocketing and working with the root notes. The drums there, so the drums were relatively low key in this. They weren't super punchy. They weren't in your head. There was quite a bit of low end resonance there, as well as some sort of like a little bit of crackling going on in some of the solo sections later on, which sort of insinuates to me that we might have pushed the limiter just a little bit too much here to get a loud sound. But it's still, I mean, the drums, you could hear that, you could feel the kicks, and the snares and the cymbals came through effectively with some interesting sort of 8th note or 16th note 16th note sort of snare fills there, but nothing too extravagant. The theme itself sounded rockish, sounded heavy. It was like a king going on a war part, kind of taking down his traitors, and you left feeling like you'd heard the lore of Triple H. And yeah, it's cool. I don't know much about the characters. Again, I've tried watching the Netflix documentary about it. It's a hell of a ride. Vince McMahon, holy crap, what a character, right? But still, really cool song. I liked, for the most part, the performance was quite tight. And the studio recording, mixing, mastering was okay. I think it was a little bit too pushed in the limiter. There wasn't a lot of dynamic range to it, and as part of the crackling you could hear on some of those louder parts. But also there wasn't a lot of dynamic range, as I mentioned, but there's also just the fact that the kicks were a little bit subtle for my tastes. But still, they could have potentially been a bit quieter with those. Either way, that's my review of this track from WWE Motorhead titled King of Kings. Thank you to Shinida for putting that forward. I appreciate it. And yeah, Judith, WWE, exactly. It's nice to have it. It's a cool song. I just think if that just had a little bit more dynamic range on it, it would have been good. You know, still, it's totally fine. We have this track here, which is the next one from Shinida, because Shinida's put through another 2 today. We have this here, Life Goes On music video. So this is the second one from Shinida. Not the second one today. I think it's like the 3rd one today, but we'll be listening to this anyways. Song. It was incredibly intricate. There were a lot of moving parts within it, but I think it was really well handled and well leveled. This was a track from an act named what was the name of it? Xiu Jun. Life Goes On. So what do we think the track is about? I think it's about kind of rolling with the punches and dealing with what life throws at you and trying not to become too overwhelmed by it. Sort of just trying to sort of like learning to sort of like process it and move forward. I think that it's a sentiment that I think a lot of people will be able to get behind. I'm not necessarily sure how the video relates to it. I think there's a lot of different things happening there that you kind of people are just kind of coping with, and you see him at the end by himself. Yeah, I feel like maybe this is like part of like it might be like part of a TV show for a movie or something like that. I don't know. But either way, if it is self-contained, I'll probably need another like watch through it just by my own, just kind of sort of absorb it. But I think that the story is a tale as old as time, and I think it's something that a lot of people will be able to appreciate and get behind. The track is sung incredibly well. Xiu Jun sings really fantastically, whether it's very gentle, almost like with a bit of breath in it, and it's very kind of subtle. And when we belt, when we get into that higher, like the more intense range there, we just have this full body to it, which is just so easy to listen to. It's so smooth. And there's vibrato, and there's effortless transitions between notes. It's really just elegant. And there's so much feeling within it. It's a distinct vocal timbre that sits well within the mix, has great presence, and ultimately just it harmonizes neatly with the rest of the elements within the track there. We're clearly aware of where things need to be. And then that's fantastic. And I think that we don't overcommit to a specific set feeling there. It's just more, we're trying to sort of make it more accessible. And it's not neutral, but it's also that we're kind of trying to emulate what we're discussing in the story, where we have to roll with the punches and not sort of get too sort of like overwhelmed by them, if that makes sense. Or even if we are, that's just part of life within itself. But moving on from that, I think that the track at 3 minutes 30, it's just, there's so much going on. There's lots of different guitar parts. There's harmonicas, there is bass, drums, and keys. Those are the main ones I got. There's probably others I missed, but those are the main ones I got. With verses and choruses and interludes and maybe even key changes in there. And we have pseudo leads. Like there's a lot of stuff going on with those, with the lead playing at the end there, like near the end. It's incredibly, it's really dexterous. But you've got like these guitar takes around the sides of the stereo field, like little slidey lead guitar bits on the left there, some sort of natural harmonics at the end of the track on the right there, which are pretty. So the use of stereo panning is really effective here. And then you have sort of guitar tracks rhythmically handled on the sides of the stereo field. And you have the sort of distorted leads that you have in the middle there as a sub layer and some elements, and just the notes are so fast. But we never, even if there are instrumental breaks, we never overplay. It's like we want to have color from the electric guitars in a similar frequency spectrum to what the vocals are doing, but not in a way where it's sort of saying, hey, look at me, I'm more important than what's being told. So I think that in that respect, it's kind of a masterstroke to be able to get the guitar that busy with their melodies and the speed and rhythm of the notes behind that. But like there was some 16th and 32nds there, and it was impressive, but not to an extent where it was more so than everything else as a whole. The bass line typically stuck to the root notes within the triads, yeah, loyal to that. The drums, the drums had a sort of a slow groove to it. We didn't have a lot of speedy over-the-top movement there. It was there to sort of be more of a supported device for the elements within the track, the mids and high range leads, but the drummer kept pace at a speed which is really sort of presentable, you know. Yeah, like we did have some 8ths and 16ths and stuff, and we did add slightly more kicks as we went along, but you just had very subtle kicks and snares. We weren't trying to poke our nose out too much as a percussionist, which I thought was really smart. We understood how to sort of balance the two in a way, which was meaningful. We had an identity, but it was, yeah. And then the harmonica was typically rolling with the either the triads or sort of with the scales within the piece, and it was gorgeous. It was gorgeous. No complaints about it whatsoever. It was just really fragrant. It was very soft, and it added a sense of almost kind of wistfulness to a piece where I suppose we're just kind of dealing with how just kind of whatever life is and just kind of getting rolling with the punches. It's like it's gentle and relaxing and soothing, and it's not trying to get you too wound up. And I think as a note there, it just makes sense to have that in there. It's a glow, a warmth to the piece that I think is necessary in order to make the message kind of stick a bit more kind of neatly. But overall, just you combine these different ingredients and the keys as well, typically highlighting the triads or being a nice sort of mid or upper range there, kind of either ascending or descending with the arpeggios. It's a song which is sophisticated and mature and manages to find little gaps and niches for all of its little eccentricities, but also is just splendid to listen to. It's a great time. And I think that it's with a really a tight performance there. The theme overall, and again, it is just it's non-committal to a specific mood, even though there are ups and downs, and it's just about trying to find a sort of balance, sort of tonally and thematically. And I think the chord progressions, the subtle nature of the guitar leads, the drums not being too sort of over the top or in your face, and the vocal style there with the way it was compressed, if anything else, was emblematic of that. And you know, the studio recording, mixing, mastering, the compression in general, or like it's commercial grade. It's exactly what you need. No complaints whatsoever. You can hear everything in the mix, nice and smooth. Yeah, it was awesome. Fantastic. We just have one more song, by the way. Thank you to Shin Yuda for putting this track forward of this one from Xiujun or Kui for Life Goes On, the official music video. We have one more track to do today. What do we have? Aqua 24 this time. What does Aqua 24 have for us today? So this is Unlimited by FIR. The song is mainly about only by believing that a kind of persistence and a kind of strength can destroy all failures. I am the only one who has absolutely no way out. No one can refuse me when I'm free to chase. Only I can transcend the limit. You can't see it. I can feel the purity of freedom. It must be kind of rough for people who assume that I am like deliberately doing reaction videos, because I don't really react. I don't. Where is FIR? What is this? Yeah, there we go. Thank you, Aqua. I appreciate that. That's probably what you want. That's probably what you want. I appreciate that. Thank you. Yay, we found it. Let's do it. Let's play the track. This is the last one for today. Oh, that sequencer build. Oh, it's so bright. So groovy. Such variety compositionally immediately. Oh, tempo shift? What are we trying to commit to? And now it's a dance track. The guitar line and the sub is incredible. Tremendous. So that was FIR with their track. Hang on, that is definitely not it. This is Unlimited by FIR. I need to put this down here. Aqua 24. Unlimited by FIR. So I think that this track is about, as we talked about, only by believing that a kind of persistence and a kind of strength can destroy all failures. Only I can transcend the limit. I think also, to be fair, this track is simply about trying to sort of push their music. It's the start of an album. It's the start of their album, which I understand is a very, very important one for them. A lot of people love this album. So I get the impression it's basically saying, look, whatever you think of our music, we're going to transcend it. We're going to push. The song itself used many different tempos, which is what the band intended initially. Yeah, exactly. And I think that that's smart. I think that it's good for people to look at your music and go, hey, they're trying to do something different. If you can find a way with it to do so without it being sort of too progressive, I think it'd be an incredible sort of positive experience for everyone involved. I think that the way it was sung there with the spoken English parts is really accessible for me personally. It helped me to understand what's going on there. The vocal filtering as well in certain parts was like more of an intro, and then it was like more of like a radio or like a phone call or something like that. Then you have just really well sung chorus parts, and it's just incredibly palatable. There's a sort of a confidence and a creativity expressed here, which I appreciate and is really fantastic to hear at the start of an album, because you don't know what you're going to expect, and that just makes it sort of enthralling. Hold your tears no matter what the people say. The lyrics are uplifting, and they seem passionate and totally into it and totally committed to the bit, and I like that a lot. And I think that, yeah, it's well handled vocally on the mic, and they seem excited to be there. This track itself, 3 minutes 40, is well fleshed out. There's a lot of, again, as we mentioned, there's like these starting. If we go through the different quote unquote vibes, you have like synth sequences and sort of spoken parts there, and you have like scratchy kind of guitar tones with a whole lot of filtering there to sort of be like, oh, what's happening here? Because it starts with like this slow build of the automation of the volume, which is like a post-production thing. But it's just you're going into this new atmosphere, this new era. And then, of course, you've still got like the sequences there. You've got like the kind of chants, another catchy vocal melody or harmony there, and that sort of bridge section, I suppose, or like a verse section, and just you transfer so effortlessly between them structurally. But it's also just the 16th note. It's just a consistent. It's a lot of energy in there. The drums keep up with the pace there. It's nice and tight on the sticks. the bass line underneath sort of reinforcing those chord progressions that the synths are putting forward. The synths not sticking in a place, that constant movement of the sequencer makes it, you want to be sort of more active with it. And then of course you oh, so that's the bridge there. Oh, okay, so the chanting stuff is more the verse thing, and you have the da-da-bum-bum, so that's the bridge there. Okay, that's cool. So you have these kind of like dramatic pauses there, and then there's like a drum fill there with like the toms going, and then they transfer effortlessly over to the chorus part, where the guitars come in, and they've got this really sort of like gritty distortion there that suits the intensity and passion of the mood. And then, of course, you have these other elements, like these kind of more sort of like dominant sort of squared kicks there, these electronic samples that show they want to sort of more dance music stuff, in addition to the rocky elements there. So they are experimenting with lots of different genres. And then you have tempo changes, as mentioned, and you just overall, the theme of the track is reinvention. It's trying to show the range of what they can accomplish compositionally and stylistically, whilst also promoting a message that they don't need to be put into a box. And I think that's tremendous. We have distinct vocal chord progressions and bass lines per part, and we leave the track feeling like we understand more of what FI wants to accomplish. And while it is very ambitious, they've shown that they have the instrumental and creative capacity to be able to accomplish that. So I think that it's a fun song where it's upbeat and incredibly excited to show you more of what it can do. And there's nothing wrong sort of fundamentally with any of the songwriting or anything like that. It's just, you have these really incredible, it's like more sort of like an atmosphere environment. I just want to sort of comment quickly. There was these incredibly technical, intricate guitar tappy bits that were going on as a sub layer later on the track, like near the interlude or something like that, which I thought was like the icing on the cake there. It's just they know how well they can play, but they know they also have to keep it relatively low key and not over sort of like over spice things, if that makes sense. They're kind of keeping expectations measured there. They have some shred later on. But yeah, ultimately, I think the theme itself is upbeat and positive. Mixing the rock with the electronic is giving you an indication of what they're going to do later on. And then you just have the studio production, which I think is really well handled. I would have appreciated a bit more low end from the bass guitar, to be fair. But I just think that was maybe missing in the mix. But they might have wanted to make it bright deliberately. They might have been leaving room for light bass in the later tracks. It's just the track is well leveled. You can hear everything clearly. The vocals aren't over processed. They can just clearly sing, and it's nice and loud without pumping. So the bus compression limiting was handled. It's a solid song. You know, they ought to be proud of themselves, and I think that I can understand why they had the success they had off of tracks like this. I think that's really important to have your own direction and your own journey, and do it that way. But thank you to Aqua24 for putting this track forward. That track was Unlimited by FIR, and thank you for watching this live stream. Hopefully it was okay. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Hopefully you at least found a song that you liked. If you did, please go show your various local musicians and artists some love via their various social medias and their Spotify page or the YouTube page. Thank you to Jacob, as well as Shinyida, Paul, Judith, Andres, and Aqua for your requests. I appreciate listening through these. Have a fantastic day or a couple of days. I'll probably be back on the weekend, and I'll see you then. If you're an SP patron, I've got a few videos done. Remember, if you've got a song you want to put through before the end of the month, please do that. But either way, I'll catch you in the next live stream, next video, next whatever. Spiderhands out.